Yeah.
Perfect.
They got to look
Okay.
at my ugly mug over your beautiful face. Okay, hold on 1 second here.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to mute my mic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We are proud to have all of you coming on in early and often. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button because I got to tell you, we're in for one hell of a show tonight with the lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco, who, you know, even though she's not on video, she still has the perfect shoes and her hair done for tonight, all for radio. That's how much she cares about what we do around here. We're just about 5.5 minutes away from launching on the radio side, and we want to say hello to everybody. Let's give a shout out to everybody who's here so far. Ryan, Brutus, how are you? Barther, how are you, man? Donnie, Lori, Millennium, Lori again. Science Bob is here. Science Bob is here. Anonymous Wesley, good to have you here. And you know what? We're going to have a great show. Geraldine, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Dave. Thank you so much for having me on the show. As always, it's a pleasure to be here.
I know. I'm so excited to get to have you on here once a month again. What we're talking about tonight, I have no idea. But I do know that it's a pink moon, and we're going to get into this in the show, okay? Because I don't understand all these moon colors, because every time I look at the moon, Geraldine, it's white. All right, so I'm a little confused, a little bothered by this. I'm almost about to call this a pet peeve. Okay, almost about to do that, but we'll save that for the show tonight, and we're gonna have some fun. Hey, Magolan, how are you? Jesus, good to have you here. And who else we got? Renee is here. Bigfoot, Michigan, Rob, Cedric. Thank you from Sacramento, California. Right on. We're going to have a good time tonight. Good time tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. And let's see here. We've got about 4 minutes here before we are going to launch. So we get to just hang out, chat away. Geraldine's here. She's going to hang out. She's going to hang out because she's just awesome. You really are. I had James Goodall. I don't know if you got a chance to meet him in San Francisco. But
I don't think I did. Not in person, no.
Oh, yeah. He was on the show last night. And we were talking about all
awesome.
the Black Ops stuff, and it was a lot of fun. It made me feel so cloak and dagger last night. You know, I was like,
awesome.
You know, hearing like James Bond type music when I went to bed last night. It was awesome. I love it.
Wow. Got to tune into that one. Yeah.
So how are you surviving the new life of being an introvert?
The new life. Look at this. You know what? I really am an introvert. I love my time in silence. I absolutely love it so much to be home. So I am actually enjoying this time very much. And I've been extremely busy. I've had a lot of clients and bookings and doing some collaborations that have been really exciting over the past couple of weeks. So it's been a busy time, Dave. To me, this is a really important time, and holding space for the healing and of those that are struggling with everything that's happening right now. And I don't know, it's an interesting time, Dave. There's a lot going on, but in my city, we're all in quarantine, and it hasn't been total lockdown yet. So we'll see if that. Yeah. I'm in California, so I don't know what the next step's gonna be, but we've been doing okay. I mean, I'm good. We're safe here. How about you guys?
Well, the beautiful part of living in the middle of nowhere is nothing comes up here. I barely see people. Yeah. I know there was some strange animals walking on the other side of my fence last night because it sent my dog off crazy. And usually when my dog goes barking, if it's deer, they go scurrying away and you can hear them, but nothing went scurrying away. So I chalked it down to either a cougar, a bear, or aliens. One of the three.
That is awesome. Lucky you, Dave. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about living out of the cities, and that's going to be the next step for my plan too in the future, is to kind of move out into the country as well, because it's not doing too good up here in the city. The cities are all kinds of things. We can talk about that
Oh, yes, definitely
some other
we
time.
will. And
Yeah.
hey, Brutus, I know you have a question there for Geraldine. We're about 45 seconds away from starting up the show, so I will ask that during the show in hour number 2. So make sure you that you repost that, because I will probably miss it. Let's go like this. Bear with me, Geraldine. All of a sudden scrambling. This whole final minute thing just like totally makes me scramble, and I don't know why, but it does. Let's go here, and y'all. There we go. Send that tweet out, and there we go with that. All right, so we're about 5 seconds away before music, and then we are off and running. And here we go. Music is on. Let's kick off tonight's show. All right, Geraldine, here we go.
Okay, I'm ready.
From the snowy mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can also follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Geraldine Orozco visits us every single month with a show we like to call The Spiritual You. A life-changing contact experience in 2013 resulted in the activation of psychic abilities, and in 2017 she underwent several hypnotic regressions with a vetted therapist. Regressions uncovering a lifelong story of ET abduction and participation in human hybridization, with 24 hybrid children as a result. Her life is now dedicated to the dissemination and knowledge of hybridization programs and the correction of the commonly held dogma of the human genetic timeline. Geraldine is the owner of Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California, and her information can be found at GeraldineOrozco.com. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Geraldine Orozco, always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my good friend. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and it's so amazing that another month went by, and here we are in April 7th. So how the world has changed in 1 month, Dave.
I know. And it all started when we went on YouTube, broadcasting live on YouTube. And I'm going to say that's the fall of it. That's the fall of it. Has to be. It absolutely has to be. No, but seriously, there's a lot of things going on right now, and we're all trying to make sure that we can get a grip on what for many of us is a brand new life of living at home, much like the book 1984 these days. And there's not much we could do. Not much we could do. How are you holding out?
I'm doing great, thankfully. Family is very safe. I'm actually enjoying my time home, as I was saying earlier. And, just holding space. I've been working a lot, offering sessions at home now that people are at home. I mean, there's good and bad to the situation. I mean, some of the good is that we get to be at home with our families, reconnecting a little bit more, spending some time to connect with ourselves. So I've been really trying to put out some tools. I'm doing a 31-day meditation challenge so people can utilize that time and, they apply it for some of their spiritual work or to help themselves get prepared, because I think at the other end of this, Dave, it's going to be a whole different world that we're going to be coming back into. A lot's going to change.
Okay, what do you miss? What do you miss about the outside? So,
About the outside. Dave, I'm a very simple person. I don't really miss very much, to be honest. I feel so happy to be at home. I'm still going out to do jogging and spending some time in the sun when I can. And I do miss my yoga studio and going on hikes. But other than that, I'm kind of like a homebody. Other than that, right now we're taking time away from doing any kind of speaking engagements and traveling, but I'm enjoying the quiet time. So I got to say, I'm okay right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
for me, it's just been work as usual. Nothing has changed for me. Absolutely
Yeah.
nothing. And,
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's a good thing or bad thing, because I have friends who work pretty darn hard, and, they're going through the rigmarole of being laid off and everything like that. And I just wouldn't want that right now. But you know what? God bless the people who are really
Yeah.
trying hard to make sure that their lives continue on as normally as possible right now. And it all starts tonight with, with you. And we're going to learn a little bit more about you, because there's always new people tuning us in, trying to figure out, hey, what's this all about? Who's this Geraldine Orozco? You're someone who literally got thrown into the mix, much like a lot of us, between the years of 2012 and 2014. Pardon me, 2010 and 2014. And now all of a sudden you are one of the leaders of understanding what is happening around everything from hybridization, from extraterrestrials to alien abduction to spirituality. It's been a very, very quick and fast trek for you. Did you ever expect your life to go down this road?
Not at all, Dave. I'm telling you, over the past 3 years, my life has transformed completely. I mean, completely. So prior to all of this, I was just had my regular, 9 to 5 job. Well, I had a business as well. I had a company, event planning company. So I, spent years working and dedicating myself to that, but also in meditation. But I never thought that meditation and sitting down to meditate for an hour a day would change my life the way it has. And I do give the credit to the meditation, because if it wasn't for me journeying inside myself and questioning and trying to find my own truth, I don't think I would ever be here, ever be here. So just peeling those layers of deprogramming for years is what opened up my life to experience things that are interdimensional, things that are beyond just this limited experience of a life that we have, our 9 to 5 jobs, and pulled me into a whole different reality. And that reality helped form a new way of looking, a new way of being completely.
So with that, do you like the new you? Better than the corporate you, better than the person you were before? Or has it been a rough transition, as it is for most people who go through such a drastic change in their life?
Yeah, it's been a very, very drastic change. Absolutely. I mean, coming into that awakening has been, it's been in the early in 2017 after my regressions. It was a lot of integration of massive amounts of information that came in all at once. And so that kind of coming up from this complete existential crisis back into the human world, interacting with people, connecting with people. It took a minute. It really took a couple years. It's really just this year that I'm starting to kind of reach out and go back into the world the way I used to be. But do I miss the old person? No, I have a lot of compassion for that person. It's not that it's a different completely being from me. It's not a different person. It's a part of me that has gone through a major transition, major awakening. And now my focus in life is focused on healing myself, finding truth, and holding space for others. And I am very passionate in a sense about the concept of bringing consciousness to people, helping people become aware of themselves and the world that we actually live in. So I'm very happy where I'm at today.
Many people go through this type of transition, Geraldine. It costs them. For some it costs them work. For some it costs them a living, and it's not just a shift that maybe they have wanted to make on their own. Maybe they were forced into it because of the circumstances. People have lost friends. People have lost family. How have you been able to stay grounded with the people around you? Or did you go through that phase as well where people were like, Geraldine, I don't like this new you, and I just feel that it's best that we part ways? Did you have that at all?
I did. I mean, and it's happened even in the family. There are parts of family that they don't recognize certain aspects of you or certain behaviors of you or the way of being. And when I had this great opening, so let me just take you back. 2013, after I had the abduction, the contact experience, the veil was ripped open. And so when I could see the multidimensional body, it really took a lot of time to integrate that ability. It took me time to reconnect with people and be able to handle this new vision, this new ability to see and sense people around me. And let's fast forward to 2017 when I got the regressions, and then the veil opened almost as if again, downloading massive amounts of information about the historical timeline. And so all of that, my mind was completely disconnected from the physical plane. I mean, I was really integrating all this information because I had to understand what it meant to be a human in the human hybridization program, what it meant to be a part of a breeding program that was happening without anyone knowing or talking about it. There was no enough resources about it to, figure that out, in a very quick way to understand that program. So, it really brought me into a whole different way of being, where I was very, kind of recluse, not really connecting with anyone. And I needed that time to integrate this information. And another thing is when you come into this spiritual awakening, so many things change about you. It's a complete state of being an awareness of yourself, awareness of those around you, and you begin to see through people really, really quickly, really quickly. And the dynamic, the interaction between yourself and other people become more real, more authentic. And something that's interesting in our society, it's very hard to see and meet authentic people that are absolutely authentic, fearlessly authentic, that look you in the eye, that connect with you. That's not something that is valued necessarily in our society. As a matter of fact, we're constantly charading. At work, we're wearing a certain face. At home, sometimes we have to wear another face with our kids, with our friends. We're different people. And when you come into this awakening, this integration with yourself, you completely have to take down all of those facades to be able to come into your true self. And it's going to look like something that, your family is not going to recognize, people are not going to recognize. So, there's a certain amount of bravery that needs to come in there. You have to be able to hold space for yourself, for this new self. And that was quite a transition, and it has happened on many levels. So now coming back into my social life now, it's been different, but also my expectations are different. I'm not really surrounding myself with the same people that I did before. I have different expectations for myself, and different ethics, and the way that I live is completely different. And that's the same for people that are waking up right now. They're noticing that they're pulling away from their normal, networks of people, and they're trying to find their tribes. They're trying to find the people that they can connect with that will support each other, nurture the growth and the spiritual work, it's very important, Dave.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. The Spiritual You is back online with us tonight. Geraldine, as you go through that transition where, you have to figure out who's your friends, who's your family, who can you trust, who do you not, when you go down this road and you don't know where the path is going, for a lot of people, there is a hard time in learning how to trust and learning how to deal with the anxiousness, the anxiety, the depression, the fear that goes along with a lot of these circumstances when you have a life-altering event. How do you tell your clients to deal with it?
Yeah, we got to find some powerful tools that really work for us, and everyone's different. But to make it simple, find anything that can help you reconnect with yourself. Because what's happening is a fragmentation. When we experience these kinds of traumatic experiences that really pull us away from what's known to us, it causes almost as if the floor is removed underneath us and we don't know how to step. We don't know how to walk forward. We don't know in which direction we're headed. So that causes a tremendous amount of insecurity. And so, the work is bringing yourself back to yourself, recognizing yourself in that experience and knowing, helping you identify, who you are in that experience. So it takes a moment to kind of check in with ourselves and reconnect. And I think that's what these events are for, these kinds of traumatic experiences, whether it's interdimensional contact, spiritual awakening, or, any other kind of experience that causes a shift. These kinds of experiences happen in our lives to bring us, to reconnect us with ourselves. And to do that, whether it's meditation, whether it's going for a walk in nature, whether it's becoming more aware of what your body needs throughout your day, there's many different ways, but we have to become very compassionate and nurturing of our body and support ourselves that way, because otherwise we get caught up in the fear loop, and we're just constantly feeding and feeding that fear, that anxiety, and it grows within us, and it comes to a point where it becomes overwhelming. And sometimes when we get it out of control, it becomes harder to reconnect with the body. So sometimes this reconnection is really difficult for us because, again, it's something that we don't know, we're not familiar with. But once you get through that hump of the fear of connecting with yourself, you'll notice that any resistance that you felt, it's like it dissipates completely. And it's almost as if the body becomes more expansive, more relaxed. It's like you surrender to each moment. You're very present in the moment and you surrender to that moment, just allowing the things that come when you come into a state of observation. You're no longer judging the experience. You're not judging what's happening to you or trying to put it in a little box of right or wrong. You're just watching what's happening to you. And that's really important for like mental sanity and to keep yourself in a healthy, mental state. Because if you start to dissect and compartmentalize the experience in a state of judgment, it's going to cause you a lot of fragmentation. So as you're kind of discovering yourself through this new experience, really support yourself, be there for yourself. And this has to be in your nutrition, mentally, take time for reconnection, and take time for nature, nurture the body, and just be really proactive about that. That's really important, Dave. Great question.
Geraldine, with the fact that so many people get such a life-altering experience, and then they have these life-altering daily struggles with the anxiety, the depression, the not understanding why anything happened, whether it's ET contact, whether it's something spiritual that just became magnified or whatever, is it on us as the experiencer to wrap our own emotions up and to deal with them, or is the result of the emotions being expressed really due to the circumstance of what's happened? Because for a lot of people, they're able to suppress what's happened, or they're able to think logically about what's gone on. But for others, it is a complete, lack of a better term, a freak out session that this has happened to them, and they go down this really dark path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that's correct. It's not about getting lost in the emotion. The reason why we have the emotion is because we're judging it. We're judging whether it's something that's acceptable, not acceptable, real or not real. And I think that the moment we go into that state of judging ourselves and judging the experience, that's where we become fragmented, because these kinds of experiences, they don't really hold a place in our mainstream understanding of reality. So, we have to re-educate ourselves. We have to really go through a moment of everything goes into question. Your reality, the way that you see yourself, the way you see everything, is completely coming into question here. So it's going to be a process. And so that's something that we all need to understand, that while we're going in through these experiences, we need to be able to take a step back and collect ourselves in a sense where we're not judging. We have to be our own best friends. We have to be our own best support system. If we begin to judge the situation, the circumstance, and ourselves and our emotions, we're again going to be falling apart. It's going to be a fragmentation that occurs. So we have to notice those emotions, observe them, acknowledge them, and just remind ourselves that these emotions are going to be tools. They're going to help us with information. Every emotion gives us information, and that information helps us define our perception and our belief systems about things. And that's really where the work is, the work for any kind of traumatic situation, as a matter of fact. So when we begin to identify the belief systems behind what brought us to those emotions to begin with, we can really unpack and we begin to create a very strong understanding of how our psyche works, the triggers. And when we know that, we can be a better support system for ourselves because we can be supporting ourselves through those times that are more triggering. So for example, in a traumatic experience, if it's, this contact experience with a light or with something that happened at night, and so now you're having trouble going back to sleep, what is it that you need to help yourself, get to a place where you feel safe, where you feel calm? And what in your mind is running? What fear program is running that is causing this much anxiety? And support that. Do you need to change the way your room is set up? Do you need to change your environment? Do you need to change the patterns of how you're leading your life right now? There's a lot of things that go into play there. So we have to become aware. Awareness is the first thing. Understand yourself, understand the emotions and why you're having them, and start to work with them. Provide yourself a really strong support system from that perspective.
Geraldine Orozco is here tonight for the Spiritual You. Geraldine, we got about 3 minutes here before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. I want to ask you, you are somebody who is very strong, a very vocal voice, a voice of authority and reason when it comes to everything regarding this field of research and the experiencer side of everything. How do you stay strong? You were always so well composed. You were always so well mannered. You always have a fresh thought and idea to go along with the questions you were asked. How do you keep it together? Do you ever have those moments when you're at your house and all of a sudden you're just, like, where's that box of tissues? Because I'm unloading on the emotions tonight.
No, Dave, we all have, of course, all these emotions that we have running in us. But, to be honest, what I really try to do is to, embody this person that I'm trying to cultivate, which is awareness. Try to be aware of myself, my emotions. What am I feeling? Question myself. I do question, and not question yourself like I doubt myself. I question why I behave certain ways, and from there, I learn and I understand what it is that I need from those, reactions. If I yell at something or get angry at something, we got to ask, what's happening? What do you need? What is it that wants to speak out? And that's a dialogue that for me has been kind of like my pillar, my emotional support system, again, to bring me back. I mean, I've gone through tremendous depression in my life because of many, many important things that have happened in my life through my business, personal life. And if it wasn't for the tools that I learned of meditation and to regroup myself, I mean, we wouldn't be here today. So we have to learn how to cope with ourselves and our emotions. In this society, we are trained to be ADHD, emotionally disconnected from the body completely. So we got to train ourselves. We have to teach ourselves to reconnect with this body so that we're not like puppets and like candles in the wind that are being moved from one end to another when things come up or when things start to trigger us. We have to learn how to have that discipline and awareness. And I think that's just a good cultivation of emotional intelligence. We need to come into that. So, yes, we all have those moments. But the thing is, what do you learn from them? What do you learn from them? And apply those lessons, apply the wisdom. And actually, tonight's full moon is all about that, by the way.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Yeah, we can get into that in the next minute, but it's all about solidifying and applying the wisdom and knowledge that we've acquired up until now.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Yes, we are definitely getting into the pink moon. Still looks white to me, but then again, my eyes aren't so good. The Spiritual You continues with Geraldine Orozco. Coming up after the break, her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Make sure you check it on out. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio right after this. That was a fast half hour. Holy cow.
Quick, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Pink moon. Bullshit. Bullshit, I tell you. It's white.
But did you see it all night? Did you see it earlier tonight? Because it was actually reddish orange earlier coming up from the horizon.
Okay. I didn't see it.
Nope.
I didn't see it then. I did not see it then. But I'm looking at it right now out the window. I could take a picture of it. And
oh, beautiful.
Yeah. And it is very, very white. Very white.
Are you seeing it pretty huge up there, Dave?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's pretty huge over here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a biggie. It's a big one. It's a big one. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. The only thing I'm looking forward to in the sky coming up is I want to see that meteor. I love those meteors.
Oh, when are they coming? When are those coming out?
That comet, not the meteor, the comet.
Comet.
What the hell is its name now? Comet coming towards Earth. What the hell's its name? Well, let's see here. Atlas should be in view this month. Let's find out when.
Okay.
Come on, Atlas. When are you coming? All right. Oh, God, I got to wait for all the ads to pop up. And
it says end of April? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Oh, that's what I'm trying to find right now. Sometime this month. I don't want to miss it. I think it's kind of cool.
It says it's going to be closest point to the sun on May 31st.
Yeah, we need it closer to Earth before the sun. Okay, here we go. Okay, the closest point on Earth, it looks like, will be like May. Oh, my birthday, May 24th. Yes, that's a Sunday.
Gosh.
Yes. Me and Atlas, we're tight.
It's all yours.
I knew it. Me and Atlas are tight. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I want to see this, though. I do want to see this. Because I remember seeing Halley's Comet. I remember seeing Hale-Bopp. And now I want to see Atlas. And, it's kind of cool. I look forward to once we're able to see him. Unfortunately, the days start to get longer here, so it means I'm probably going to have to keep my little guy up in order to show him Atlas, because I want him to be able to see it. So why not? There's good times and bad times for that, and seeing a comet is a good time. At least that's my opinion.
So the days get shorter over there, you said?
Oh, they're getting longer now. I mean, we're coming into summer. Yeah, by the time we hit the summer solstice, it'll be daylight. You'll be able to see daylight here until about 11:30 at night.
Oh my God, that is amazing! Wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Yes.
Wow. How does that affect your sleep, or does it affect you at all, Dave?
Well, what's really cool is, like, there are certain nights where I will go into the studio at daylight, and by the time I finish my work, around the solstice, it'll start getting daylight around 3:15, 3:30. So you just pull the blinds down. And go to sleep. Just the way it is.
Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah, I've been to Alaska, but I never got to enjoy the time change like that when I was there. I think it
Yeah.
was just summertime.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. So I look forward to it. I look forward to it. We're at that time of the year now where the bears are like, the animals are coming out of hibernation. So every time you go by a window or something in your house, you got to look out just to see what's out there. Because you never know.
Oh,
You never know.
that's so great. So no more snow, huh?
Oh, I still have like over a foot of snow in my backyard. My front yard's
Oh
all
my
melted,
gosh.
but my backyard is not melted yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's
So
April.
I know. It's like, come on, hurry up and melt already. Hurry up and melt.
You're just going to go straight into the summer, I guess. Winter to summer.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
No spring.
I'm going to
Mm.
No, usually we go straight from winter into mosquito season. So, and then mosquito season usually lasts until all the sparrows come out of their hibernation and fly up from the south, and then they pick off all the mosquitoes, and then we get into the other good stuff, which is actually summer for about a month and a half, 2 months, maybe 3 if we're lucky, and then we kind of go from there. So it's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Kind of how it works.
Wow.
Yeah. So who knows? All right. We've got about 40 seconds here. Give a shout out. Hey, Josh, how you doing? Mr. Man, Mister? We have Anna Maria Apro. How are you? Thank you for coming on in to listening to us tonight. Corin's the booking guy. Hi, Sandra. Thank you to Science Bob for the $5 super chat. We have it open all night long. Great way to support this show is to go to our website, spacedoutradio.com/shop. Go get yourself a t-shirt. Of course, we always accept thumbs up and subscriptions to our channel. So hope you enjoy the second half hour. It's coming up right now. Films Amazon page. All right, here we go, Geraldine. Cable Guy Matt, there you are. You're late, Cable Guy Matt. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. I want to remind all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. And you can also follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, as well as my personal profile. I guess it's called a profile. My personal profile at Dave Scott SOR. I'd appreciate that as well. Geraldine Orozco comes in every month to talk about the spiritual you. Geraldine owns Bay Area Meditation in San Francisco, California. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. And we get into everything weird, strange, futuristic, zenful, and if you're having trouble locating your chi, Geraldine can find it. Geraldine, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much.
Have you found my chi yet? Just curious.
Oh, we're working on it. We're going to find that chi. Dave, you are that chi.
Oh, come on. That's not even funny. Geraldine, it is a pink moon outside. I'm looking at the moon, still looks white to me. Don't understand all the colors and the hype around the whole full moon thing. Explain to me from a spiritual side what a pink moon means.
Well, it's interesting. This is one of the largest moons of the year, supposedly. It's the one that's closest to us. And the pink moon really talks about that inner equilibrium, inner balance, and more importantly, solidifying all the things that have been happening. It's been, for those of you that are empathic, for those of you that are more sensitives, are really noticing how we're kind of riding some waves, emotional waves right now, energetic waves over the past couple couple weeks, with everything that's happened in the world around us, everyone is energetically really high right now. We have a lot of stuff going on. And the tension is high as well. Some people are in a state of fear and a panic, and other people that are kind of working, the other aspect of that, people have been feeling really good. They've been at home, they've been reconnecting with themselves. So there's kind of a range of different spectrum of emotions that are really activated during this time. But what this moon really talks about is the application, opening energetic space of all of this wisdom that we've come into. At the beginning of the month in March, it was a couple energetic gateways. In what that means is that these kinds of vibrational frequencies that we tap into as a collective, these celestial bodies, are creating a vibrational frequency that the entire collective human race picks up on. And when we tap into this kind of communication, it allows the body to have upgrades. It's like DNA upgrades that are available to us. And really, what that means in layman terms is that there are openings for healing for us, openings. So, for example, you're going to have memories of things of the past come up that you haven't wanting to address, and they surface. They surface for you to work on them, to address the trauma behind it, resistance, blockages, things that you're not wanting to work on. They resurface during this time. Any kind of mirroring, any time where you are triggered by something and you try to just put it in the back end, but it's really coming up this year. You're feeling it, and you are being made aware of all of the dark aspects of yourself that we haven't been wanting to look at for over the last couple of years. So this is the year for that, and this moon highlights a lot of the work that we've been doing over the past couple of weeks for this. Those of you that have been working on it. And it's a strong opening that allows you to create a very strong intention for the next couple months. The next 3 years are going to be major transitional points for the entire world. After this kind of event that we're all experiencing, we're coming into a new kind of world. If you take a look at it, first of all, we're not going to go back ever to the same thing that we were at before, because a lot is changing. I think this event has really made us kind of revisit the things that we knew were not working, that were not right, and kind of decide, do we really want to continue, supporting these kinds of systems that are not really working out for us? And I think it's the time to define that, to redefine that. So it's a good time to take a step back and really think about what we want for ourselves, for our children, for the future, and understand where our priorities lie. Okay, where our priorities lie in that. Are we pro-life? Are we thinking about healing our the education of our children? We realize that we cannot depend on systems that are not, going to be there for us. We have to be planting our food. We have to be taking different steps. We have to be preparing for this kind of events like this in the future. So, it's a lot going on with this moon.
So with this, okay, the fact that it's the closest moon that it's been to us, it's, it'll be to us all year. It's large, it's white, not pink. For those of us who don't really understand or buy into the whole concept of astrology and the moons and things like Mercury retrograde and every sort of retrograde that keeps holding us back 12 months out of 12 months of the year, I'm just curious, how does this actually affect people? Is it all in the mind, Geraldine, or is there actually something to it?
No, I mean, the moon for sure has always affected people emotionally. I had a friend that used to work at a retirement home with seniors that were dealing with Alzheimer's. And every time it was a full moon, they had to go through a protocol to lock down the doors of the facility, because there would always be, the elders would kind of act up in strange ways. They would run away, they would act out, they would do all kinds of things. And it was just incredible. Every single full moon, they had this protocol. And as well as, psychiatric wards. They have the same kind of effect. Um, Pregnant mothers, there is something that has to do with how the energy of the earth is being pulled, and we are experiencing the subtle life force that moves around our bodies is different when a moon is here. It magnifies emotions, it magnifies sensitivity to that life force energy around us. And so it's very interesting to work with that energy when it's available, because it can be an opportunity and it can be a detriment. It's an opportunity if you are, interested in working with your emotions and, working in healing and integration. It can be a detriment if you allow it to, if you're not aware of yourself, it'll just heighten your emotions, and people get into all kinds of arguments, fights. They're very confrontational. That's why they always say, be cautious of the kind of business agreements that you make during this time, because you're going to be encountered with high stress, high emotions. And we may not be aware of it, but if you begin to observe yourself over the next couple moon cycles, just notice the difference in shifts. What happens when there's a full moon? Ultimately, really, when we are absolutely aware of our body, none of these things should be affecting us. The problem is they affect us because we're completely not aware of our bodies. We're multidimensional beings. We are physical, and we have non-physical aspects of ourselves that are incredibly interconnected with every being on this planet. And we're connected to a network of information that is, it's a cosmic connection that connects us individually through our soul, through our spirit. There are layers of the bodies that connect us to the different dimensions in which we're manifesting in. So when we become aware of that, we understand how we are picking up emotions from each other and from these celestial bodies. But at the same time, our ability to become aware of our body and what's happening allows us to apply our free will and our choice, and we become aware in which we manage our emotions, and we don't let those things move our emotions or take us out of balance. So that's kind of the level of awareness that we want to have, But do they affect us? Yes, they do. They do affect us. I mean, we see it all around us.
Well, I do have to ask you, about the chakras then, because everybody wants to make sure our chakras are aligned, they're cleansed, they're healed, they're flowing, getting into that whole chi thing that we are all looking for in the life of Zen. And where do the chakras come into play here?
Ooh, a great question. Well, the chakras are really, I mean, we are this incredible multidimensional body that's holographic in a sense. And so what happens with the chakras are basically our thyroid system. So let me tell you, it's the hormonal system. First of all, the pineal gland is your third eye. The thyroid is your throat chakra. The thymus is the heart chakra. The pancreas is the solar plexus. The sexual organs are the sacral chakra, and the coccygeal is the root chakra. Okay, so all of these, or the testicles in a man. So all of these different important centers of connection to all the organs in the body, these glands manage these centers of emotion in the body. One of the most important aspects, and it's a very delicate, interconnected network of information that manages our emotions. It manages how information is processed and absorbed through the multidimensional body. And these have an energetic overlay on the body that is like layers of information. So they're in the body within the gland. The gland manages the physical aspect of the chakra, but the energetic aspect of the chakra has the energetic vortex within the body and also projects outside of you into a field. So you have layers of the chakras that are extending outside of your body that are kind of like, let's say we can call them the feelers. They feel the energy, they're constantly receiving information from around you. So that's how information is processed. So the chakra system that absorbs is in charge of depositing and processing non-physical information. And so all of these different chakras are basically storing information based on the vibrational frequency. So we can go start with the root chakra. The root chakra manages, our fear, feeling safe, whether we feel safe or we don't feel safe. And the chakras, they work like routers. They are constantly pulling information in and exporting information out. That's how they work. It's an incredible system, very complex system. Now, we have more than hundreds of chakras in the body, but the ones that really manage the body and the physical plane per se, so everything we're experiencing in the everyday life, are the first three chakras. Those first three chakras are connected to the physical plane. The root chakra represents our grounding, our security. It also manages, the sex, the testicle, the vagina, the pelvic bone, the legs, the feet, all the lower extremities. Now, from the emotional connections, it manages our fear. So if it's out of balance, you're going to be a more fearful person. That's where your perception is coming from. If you're a more grounded person, you're going to be calm, centered. The sacral chakra manages emotions, for example, and it's located right below the navel. So as you can see, the layers of information that the chakras provide us are just unbelievable. They all have a primal function, a divine principle per se, a physical property, and an anatomical and emotional. And so these are like routers of which deposit information in the physical and non-physical. Now, when you have a moon, for example, you asked me how do they play a role here. Let's say that you are right now in a state of fear because of everything that's happening right now. So your root chakra is going to be rotating really fast. It's going to be completely out of balance. And that really affects the physical body because when the body comes into a state of fear, it's pumping adrenaline, right? The adrenals, it manages the adrenals, and the adrenals are in charge of creating that balanced stasis in the body. When we don't have, when we're not managing the adrenals, it causes a lot of stress. And all of that stress causes inflammation in the body. That inflammation causes the immune system to really break down, and you can be very susceptible to infections and viruses like what we're dealing with right now. But we have to understand that that is a gateway opening for the body to take in something like that. So how do you prevent that? You strengthen your immune system. First of all, by taking, the natural steps, your vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin A, all those things that we're doing to help ourselves build our immune system, the zinc, so on and so forth. But on an emotional level, if your emotions are in a wreck, your body is not going to sustain that health that it needs to fight any infection or anything. It's really amazing. And it shows in your energetic body. As a matter of fact, the bacteria can only exist in this kind of distorted energy in the body. Do you know that? That's how amazing these bodies are. And there's all kinds of science behind that because the bodies are very complex, interconnected networks of energy and information.
Does that not affect my own perception of reality, though?
Which one? Which one?
When it comes to the moon and putting my trust in my chakras and everything like that, is that not just taking a little bit of a step outside of reality?
Well, no, you got to see your reality is created by the information that is running through your body, right? So if you believe that you are in a state of fear or vulnerable or in danger, you're going to come into that fight or flight. So you're not going to have the tools to help you make rational decisions that are going to help you survive and do the things that your body needs from a place of a balanced, calm, collected perspective. So, all these things are interconnected. If you're balanced and grounded and connected with your body and you're listening to what your body needs, like water, sleep, sunshine, all those things, you're going to be in a much better health. So that kind of connection is a human intelligence that we have to really begin to listen to. And I think that this event that's happening in the world around us it's taking us there. It's making us become aware of that more than ever.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, as we got about 5.5 minutes before we're going to go to break at the top of the hour. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Geraldine, in regards to, the astrology and astrological charts and everything. You're somebody who works around this along with other people. How do we know that we aren't reading too much into it? And I'm trying to be as skeptical as possible here, because there's very few little woo or tinfoil things that I don't believe in or have troubles believing in. And the whole astrological charts thing, I do. And I know I'm not the only one when it comes down to this. Convince me, or maybe that's probably too harsh of a term, but help me believe how this works and how this affects me and why I should pay attention to it.
Well, I mean, I'm not an astrologist, so I really can't speak for the science of astrology on a depth that can give you that kind of understanding. However, what I do know inside out is energy, and I know that these complex bodies that we're in. The design of the human body is the replica of the design of this entire universe. What's inside us and how our body functions, how it writes the DNA, how it writes proteins. These processes are exactly how these functions of the universe are also working. And that's the beauty of it. It's that common saying, as above, so below. If we understand what's happening in our body, we understand how these celestial bodies work. Astrology, the planets, these astrological signs are also connected to the chakra system. So you can the way I look at it is archetypes of characteristics of energies, or characteristics of these kinds of personalities or traits that make up different kinds of classifications of humans or mindsets. So every single one of these chakras, for example, they have a planet, they have an astrological sign that they connect with. But to me, what that is telling me is that we're really interconnected. Everything is interconnected because everything is energy. And when everything is energy, it's basically molecular, at the molecular level, oscillating to create different vibrational frequencies that make up the mass that they embody. We got to understand the language of frequency. And that language has many different characters and ways of receiving it. So if we are frequency, if your entire body has a toroidal field and my body has a toroidal field, we're communicating in a way that we cannot see, but we know these two bodies are communicating. There is a language that is occurring between us that is not physical. And it's, as a matter of fact, your senses, you have 5 senses. Only one of those is sight, right? So we forget that we are able to produce and process information in more than one way that we always forget about. We have our sight, we have our hearing, we have our taste, we have our touch, and we have our intuition. So just like you are a human, let's imagine you are one organic body. This entire planet is also an organic body, and so are other planets. They have their own toroidal fields, their own magnetic field. And this is how we transmit information to one another. So if we do that, I really cannot deny the fact that, as celestial bodies, as these organisms, there is a communication occurring, and there is an influence through these energies that are kind of throwing energy back at each other. There's a transmit of information there. And the more we understand how our body works, we can understand how that functions as well, because, it's all energy.
We've got about 90 seconds to go. With that energy, are we able to control it, whether it's for the positive or the negative? Is it up to us?
We can absolutely control our own energy. The only thing we can control is our bodies, ourselves, our minds, our thoughts, and that is a vibrational frequency that we are emitting. So if we really get organized and we connect with ourselves, we can change the way we experience events. We can change the outcome of things by setting our intention as to how we wish to represent ourselves in those events. And we have to become aware that what we can control is only us. But if you learn about the holographic universe and how you're holographically projecting your reality, you begin to realize that all of us are co-creating somehow. We are all sharing the responsibility of the experience that we're creating. So there's a lot of responsibility there. And that really comes into play when things like this event happen, that all of us have a choice as to how we are directing the next step for the collective, I think.
See, being an introvert, I just point my finger and laugh at people who are stressing out and overbuying toilet paper. That's what I do. That's what I do, because I'm right in the comfort zone right now, Geraldine, very much in the comfort zone, hanging out in SOR headquarters all by my lonesome. I'm in the perfect atmosphere. I am in my zen, my chi, and if some aliens all of a sudden show up at the window, my root chakra will tighten up as tight as it can be. But nonetheless, Geraldine Orozco comes in once a month for the spiritual you, and we love Geraldine around here. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Her company is Bay Area Meditation. You can look that up at BayAreaMeditation.com. Let's put a little tinfoil on. Let's get into aliens, ET contact next with Geraldine Orozco and the spiritual you on Spaced Out Radio. Well, that was a wonderful first hour. Wonderful first hour.
Awesome.
All right. I'm going to run my pups outside. I will be back. I'm going to turn the commercials on for our YouTube crowd. Geraldine, I will get you to mute your microphone until I get back, and see you in about 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Do what to do.
Be right back, guys.
Get Bumblefuck.
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spicing up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hey, space travelers. This is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune into SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific.
All right, I'm back. How we all doing, YouTube? You having a good time tonight? We're going to take some of your questions as well here in hour number 2 for the lovely and talented Geraldine Orozco. And that's normally what we do at this time of the night. And it's actually warm enough in the studio that I don't need a jacket. Yay. Yay, it's warming up. So looking forward to this. Very interesting. Very interesting. So how we all doing? We having a good time? I am. We've got about just under 3 minutes before we get going here. All right. Geraldine, are you there? She might not be back yet, or she still has her microphone on mute. One of the two. I know she's still connected. I can see her there. Well, not on video, but that we're still connected. Yeah, she's got us on mute.
Hey, Dave, I'm back.
There you are. There you are. I was just about to say hi to Human Carl in our chat room tonight. Nikki, how are you? Who else do we got in here? Bill WD40. Nixa, how are you? Who else is new in here? Chris Moe, good to have you here. IB Mowgli, good to have you here. Thank you so much for coming on in. Remember, if you have any questions, put them in capital letters so that way I don't miss them. Luana, thank you for stopping on in. Hi, beautiful Marie in California. How's your sunshine? I bet you it's like 72 degrees, 75 degrees there right now, isn't it?
Today was absolutely spotless sky. It was beautiful.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, one of those.
One of those days. Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. Must be nice. Today, I think it was... Oh, well, let's do a quick check here. Let's do a quick weather check, because I know this always entertains you. What's the temperature right now? Right now, it's 32 Fahrenheit, 0 Celsius.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that is so warm. That is so warm. Oh, that's t-shirt weather. That's t-shirt weather. You don't even need socks. You don't even need socks. Believe you me.
Wow, we're at 54 over here. 54 degrees, so we cannot complain. I don't have the ability to complain.
Oh, I'll tell you, if it was 54 degrees here, I'd be in shorts. I'd be in shorts right now.
My gosh, don't exaggerate, Dave.
I would. I would. And we're going to...
I'm wearing like 4 sweaters right now.
Oh, tomorrow it's going to be 45 degrees with a low of 19. Wednesday, a high of 50. Oh, I'm in shorts on Wednesday, Thursday. Hell yes. Hell to the yes. Okay, we're going to get going here momentarily. I want to remind everybody the super chat is open. Give us a thumbs up if you haven't already, or hit subscribe to our channel, because we are here live on YouTube 5 days a week. Here comes hour number 2.
Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to give a shout out to everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America. On the digital side, we are live on TalkStream Live 24/7 and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Narcohypnia. Narcohypnia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, doing a little gallivanting on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio or my personal profile at Dave Scott SOR. Once a month, we bring in Geraldine Orozco for The Spiritual You. Geraldine is based out of San Francisco, California. Her company, Bay Area Meditation. Her website, GeraldineOrozco.com. If you want to check it on out, I highly suggest you do. Geraldine, always a pleasure to have you here.
Hey, welcome back. Happy to be back.
Now, before we get into the whole ET thing, got a few questions from our audience coming up that we always like to include them as well. If you want to participate, if you're wondering, hey, how do I get a question into one of these guests? You got to join into one of our chat rooms. All right, Brutus is asking, Geraldine, if anyone under regressive hypnosis has spoken in languages they have no current knowledge of, have you seen this? And if we are going to be replaced by hybrids?
Wow. Loaded questions. Well, you know what? The first one having to do with hypnosis. Yes, I in one of my sessions with my one of my clients recently, we've had language come in, or what we call light language, or they're speaking in tongues. But I think they are connecting really to an aspect of themselves. And I talk a lot about this in my videos and my work, that we are in a sense fragmented when we come into this three-dimensional plane. When we incarnate in these physical bodies, there is no linear timeline really for the human race. I think that we are living in and out of dimensions here and now, and we have access to those dimensions or those possible timelines at all times. So I think that when we go into hypnosis, we're really accessing a fragment of ourselves has become available to us, whether it's through work or through your own personal evolution. Obviously, the access to these timelines happen by unpacking certain amounts of information. So when someone becomes open to that information, they can pull it in. And however, the interesting thing about this kind of dynamic that occurs, this connection, this free way of information that becomes available, is that it's not only available in hypnosis. A lot of times people, when you begin to work on your body and you begin to activate your own systems of your body, you have the ability of tapping into fragments of yourself. We've seen this with a lot of meditators that have been, historically, for example, there was a group, I forget if it was a soccer playing group or some kind of sports team that was stranded somewhere, and one of them had known meditation. So they taught the whole group to meditate, and they were able to survive an incredible amount of, I think it was like 30 days trapped just by meditating. And so what they did at that point was access fragments of themselves and bring them into the present moment so that they can help nourish the body in survival. Now, that obviously this is an example of an extreme situation, but what that allows us to understand is the power of the mind and its dominance over this physical body. We can tap into information, just like in my own regression that you're welcome to check out. I was able to tap into information that I had never even heard before. I mean, the first time in my regression 133, I'm repeating the name Nephilim, which I didn't even know that word before that moment. So it was incredible that you tap into these kinds of layers of information. You're tapping into the Akash records. You're tapping into your soul information at that point where you begin, which those are two different things, by the way. You're tapping into that information and you bring it into the present moment. So we have the access to those networks. Thank you for that question. The second question about the hybrids, are we going to be taken over? Well, here's the thing. The way that we can map this information out is a little more complex than we think. Consider for a moment that this entire human race is actually a hybrid race. If we take a look at our historical timeline going all the way back from Mesopotamia, we have an origin point. That origin point is coming from an evolution that was somehow manipulated. And we know that by looking at the DNA, the science behind the DNA. We look at the jump. So we know that we're not, evolving from the chimpanzees or the apes. Something happened that we have a genetic jump in our DNA, and which makes us highly advanced humans, okay? And that has evolved through the human timeline up until the human race that we've expanded to now, which is, trillions of people on the planet, each with different races and different information. But all of us are still holding a lot of important information within the DNA. Now, the DNA is, again, it's a holographic storage system of information that allows us to have access to these fragments that I was just talking about previously. And those fragments of yourself are aspects of timeline records of your soul and the journey of the soul. So however many times it's incarnated, in that physical body, or even off planet, we have fragments of ourselves that have experienced terrestrial and non-terrestrial lives. And the way that we know this is when we begin to tap into our, let's say, our ET bodies or our starseed connections. Some of you have very strong ties to starseed information or knowledge. You're tapping into the aspect of yourself that is, this fragment, that is this extraterrestrial race. And it's just information that is within you. What I believe is that we are an entire human race of hybrids. Now, what's happened with the hybridization program, our human race is being utilized to continue that hybridization program. And if you look at, the galaxy, there are millions, trillions of stars. So obviously, there are hundreds of other, races out there that are, evolving at the same time that we are. So, the amount of evolution that is occurring, or, life that is being seeded on many other planets, we have our limited human mind really cannot comprehend the expansion of this kind of programs that are being run on and off planet. We just know of the one that's happening here on this planet, but are we going to be taken over? No, it's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? We didn't come first. I think that we are a product of something. And so, there's no need for that takeover. However, what there is and what we become aware of is a manipulation of consciousness. Each human has his soul, and that soul is what is basically the motivation, the motor behind this system of hybridization. Because when a child is born with a soul, that soul contains a fractal of its original, mother and father. And so that's how these lineages are built over time. They are constructed and designed. So, what's happening really is that the soul is really the most important thing. It is that currency of incredible amount of information that connects us to our lineages for centuries. And that's information that we are kind of running through right now. So I don't believe that we are necessarily going to be taken over. I think one thing that we need to think about right now is really the integration of transhumanism, which is kind of like where the direction of this human race is going, right now, with the amount of technology that's being implemented. And so that's something that we need to be aware of, and also understand that technology merging with this bioorganism causes a tremendous amount of disconnect with the body. And in a sense, we become like hosts for a lot of this kind of artificial intelligence as well, by bringing the body out of balance. So it's kind of a complex topic, but this is one of the ways that we're beginning to become aware of the different timelines that the human race can take.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Another question from our audience. This one comes from Robin, who is asking, with what is happening right now, when do we start finding out what we are doing to take things for granted? Is this just a mental thing for all of us individually?
Well, is it a mental thing? Let me try to think of what you mean exactly. Well, I mean, what we're learning, I mean, obviously, what we're looking at, what we're taking for granted, I think the fact that we're connecting back at home is helping us understand that, the human connection might be something that we were taking for granted before. So it's a really nice way to reconnect with that. I'm not sure if I understand the question all the way, Dave. What exactly?
Well, I think what Robin is asking is whether or not, we've taken everything that we've had up until this point for granted, and is that going to weigh heavily on people?
Okay, I understand. Yeah, I mean, well, the thing is, what are we taking for granted? I mean, I think this is a time to sober up our perspective of what this world is really running here. What's become apparent to us by looking at how the media is working with the information that's available, whether they're distorting it, and a lot of the information that's being put out, it's coming into question because they are really hyping up a lot of things, causing a lot of fear. And, we're starting to question the validity of this information. So aside from that, we have the government that's, making these decisions and choices and really making us question about where the priority lies. Does the priority lie in the wellness of the people and society and our community, or is it lying more for the benefit of companies that are supporting and backing up these programs that are running right now? So I think we need to get really, really clear about that. It's a good time to question and understand that. And from that perspective, I would say we begin to decide whether we want to continue to support these kinds of systems and businesses that are running as we now become aware, our food chain, the products that were being delivered to us, the people that are supposed to be supplying, medical care and medical supplies. I mean, we are looking at all these holes that have now become aware, that have become visible to us with this kind of emergency. So it's a good time to kind of take a look at that. And really, the question is, how are we going to move forward from this in a sense where what needs to change? What needs to change? What we took for granted before, I think our perspective has to change. Our perspective was focused on being so caught up in our daily work, in our constant survival mode, that we've really been pulled away from the important things in life. So my hope is that this kind of situation that we're in right now really causes us to question where our priorities lie. Do we want to be a slave to this system where we're in constant survival mode? Or can we find new ways to be more self-sufficient? I think that's something that's really come up for me, and I know a lot of people that I've spoken to. Do we need to become more self-sufficient so that we are not dependent on these systems that are not really supporting events like this? And I don't think it's the first one. I think that we are, this might be the beginning, and there might be other ones that come up. So how are we going to prepare? How are we going to handle for that? I think it's a good way to kind of revisit those things.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Follow up from Robin. He is asking, do you know what the third and fifth dimensions are?
Do I know what they are? I mean, there are many dimensions. Dave, did you finish that question? Sorry,
it was nice and short. It was nice and short.
Oh, okay. Do I know what it is? Yeah. I mean, we the different dimensions that we're living in. I mean, we are we have access to those dimensions by moving out of our limited perspective of the physical plane. Okay, and when we meditate, when we begin to connect with ourselves, when we start to do some work, we begin to notice that the body is not physical. And how do we know that? Because we understand the networks and systems in the body that are working with our emotions. We understand that when we heal the body, emotionally, physically, the body also heals. So these kinds of networks of information begin to go beyond the physical plane, the three-dimensional physical plane. And as we become aware of our multidimensionality of the body, we begin to tap into these other dimensions that are available to us. The thing is that our bodies are interconnected with all of these dimensions that go all the way up to the 13th. They are encoded in our DNA, and they are projected through our physical body. So really, we are, in a sense, kind of like the gateway to any kind of dimension, to those dimensions. There is nothing external outside of us that will allow us to come into those, portals, unless you're talking about some kind of, I don't know, ancient portal that was created through some kind of alien technology or something. But really, the physical body is the gateway to access these kinds of interdimensional contact. When we have a contact experience, we are merging dimensions, and the body has to, in a sense, almost dissolve from its physical in order to come into these other planes of existence. Like I've had happen in my contact experience, and I know a lot of the other people have too. Our frequency changes in order to become in tune. So what these dimensions are, it's just like radio waves, right? We change the dial and we become in tune to these other frequencies that we can then adjust to. We become available. We have a vision to, like, we're able to see ghosts one moment. We're able to see, all these beings, these light, these orbs, these interdimensional beings. We're just changing the frequency of our body so that we can come in contact with those things.
You believe in all that, seeing ghosts and everything? Come on.
Oh,
What kind of woo are you into, lady? What kind of woo are you into? No, but seriously, let's move over to Mr. Man Mister's question on the YouTube chat, who is asking, is it a good idea, Geraldine, to ground yourself during a full moon?
It's a good idea to ground yourself all the time, 24 hours a day, even before sleep. And the reason for that is that your body needs, because we're not connected to nature, with electromagnetic fields of the computer, we're usually stuck on our phones, we are watching TV, we have all this stuff going. It really distorts our electromagnetic field and natural rhythm, the circadian rhythm of the body. So when you ground yourself, it's almost as if you take yourself into a forest and you hang out in nature for a moment. What nature does, it really balances the body. If you notice, when you go out into nature, it's it's almost like even your tummy settles, you become more grounded, you connect with your body, your breathing becomes more, you become more aware of your breathing. You're reconnected with the physical body. So depending on how sensitive and aware you are of your body, you're going to be experiencing different things. But it's an incredible grounding and reconnection with the physical. So when you ground yourself energetically by visualizing a cord connecting your body down to the center of the earth, you are balancing the positive and negative charges of the body. You are bringing fragments of yourself into the moment, into the present moment. So any thought forms that are in the past or thinking about the future, those are the things that are pulling your attention away from the now. So in order to be in control of your body and your experiences, you must always be in the now. And grounding allows you to bring yourself back into the present instead of the past or the future. So, it really doesn't matter if it's a full moon or not a full moon. That grounding is awareness, and it has to happen at all times.
All right, let's move on over to Chris's question. He says, Geraldine, are there cords I can't cut or things that should not be forgotten within all of us?
That's an incredible question.
We got, just so you know, we got 2 minutes.
Oh gosh, okay. So the purpose of cutting cords is to neutralize the energy that we are sharing or exchanging with someone or something. We are all one, so we are all fractals of infinite consciousness. Therefore, we are all interconnected. We are all one anyway. So these cords that are created usually are toxic cords that are throwing negative emotions or thought forms back at each other. They are vibrational information that is not needed, that is out of balance. That means the giving and receiving is out of balance. So we have to cut them in order to take back our life force and to return back life force. That's regular, natural, energetic hygiene that should happen every day. Now, secondly, are there cords that we don't cut? We have cords with our loved ones and our family members that are never going to be severed. We are inherently encoded holographically within our DNA, connected to these networks of people that are in our families and in our, our partners even. And those are pre-designed energetic connections that really cannot be severed just so simply. So when you cut cords, you're focusing on cutting, disconnecting these negative cords out of the body. And it's important for us as this soul in the human experience in your lifetime to try to clear yourself from all of these attachments, even to family, little by little, to come into this sovereign. Because don't forget, this is a storyline that we're playing. Okay, so all of that is part of the matrix design, really. And there's much more to that. We can go into that later. But what was the second question, Dave, real quick?
Oh, goodness. We don't have time for it right now. Because right. I will dig it up during the break, but we are about to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You happens once a month here on Spaced Out Radio. We love having her here. Her website is GeraldineOrozco.com. We'll continue with the audience questions and get into a little bit of ET stuff when we get back on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. Part of my problem is I have 2 stations that I have to send recordings to that are playing. Like, for instance, this show tonight will play tomorrow night on one of our stations. So now I can't date anything. So I'm really screwed up by saying, okay, the first Tuesday of every month, Geraldine Orozco comes on. Like, I can't say that. I'm like screwed right up right now, man. Screwed right up.
Oh man, you're doing great, Dave.
All right. Just to answer Chris's question, we didn't get into the woods this weekend. There was way too much snow, and we actually, cable guy Matt and I actually had to tow a guy out who was stuck in the snow. So we couldn't get there. We only got maybe 2 miles in, 2.5 miles in. And we had to turn around. So we got to wait a couple of weeks. The temperature is going to be rising here. So we're going to wait a couple of weeks to get into some melted snow. So that way we can at least go play in the mud along the logging roads and have some fun that way. So hopefully in 2 weeks, we'll be able to get back there. So yes, everybody's always questioning, did you get molested by Bigfoot in the forest? That's what I deal with every day, Geraldine. Every day.
Oh boy.
Yes. That's my crowd. They love me that way. They just want me to come back and say, well, yes, I did. And he even brought me flowers.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the Desert Clam says we could say first week of every month. Could do that. Let me think about that. Mm-hmm. Hi, Eugene Braxton. Much love to you, my brother, my friend. Thank you for coming on in. This whole YouTube thing, Geraldine, just honestly, I'm not used to it yet. I am not used to it. And
yeah, it's a lot going on. You have a lot of comments coming in, and you have to pay attention to a lot. Yeah, it's hard to keep track sometimes.
It is. And it's just, I'm like, but I got to be on camera the entire time, right? I got to be on camera the entire time.
That's right. You got to keep your game face on.
I mean, you've seen me face to face. I am not pretty. I'm not. I am not camera made. No. Don't try and make me feel good here, because I already know. All right. So, I'm just trying to, live one day at a time, and,
Oh, Dave. Everyone, all your listeners, all your fans can see you. So now you can't lie. You can't pretend.
No. This is
that great hair.
Great beard. Very true. I know you loved the hair. I know you loved the hair. And you got to see it firsthand, which was beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I know. Then you kept disappearing. So mad at you. We were supposed to go for dinner.
I know. I was doing sessions. I wish I had more time.
I know. Next time I'm gonna make you pencil me in.
Yeah, but you too. You were quite busy. No, what were you doing? You were.
I was all over the place.
You were having a blast.
I was all over the place, and I was searching for you. I had signs up on the road. Have you seen Geraldine? She stood me up for dinner. She stood me up for breakfast, brunch. Geraldine, I got a question for you, because this is a huge debate that we've been having recently, and apparently I'm in the minority here. What's your thoughts about eating breakfast for dinner?
Oh my God. You know what? Why not?
Come on. I thought you were staying with me here.
But it depends what you're having, though. What kind of breakfast?
Okay, like bacon and eggs and pancakes and hash browns.
Oh, no. I gotta say no.
Like, I'm not saying a bowl of fruit and maybe, like you can't eat cereal or oatmeal for dinner. You can't.
Right.
Right? Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
You're absolutely right, Dave. I second that.
Thank you. Finally, somebody I could talk sense with. Hey, Anushi from India, thank you so much for coming on in. Really do appreciate you tuning us in. I hope all of you and your family are well. And, hopefully you're doing just fine.
Shout out to Anushi.
Yes, Anushi's awesome. Anushi is awesome.
Oh.
That's one country I have always wanted to travel to, is India.
Wow, you got to get out there.
Oh,
I heard it was beautiful. I haven't been there. I've been there, but I heard it was great.
I have heard, I've got a lot of East Indian friends, including my investor. And he was telling me, like, the food there is incredible. The people are incredible. A lot of the sites are incredible, and you just get treated like gold when you're there. And I so want to go there. I so want to go experience that.
Indian food is my all-time favorite. I mean, I could eat Indian food every day. I love it so much.
Me too.
Yeah. Ooh. See, well, next time you come here, we'll go to a good... it's just impossible, though. You have to stay an extra day, Dave, because, the conferences are so packed, it's hard to get away or do anything else.
I know. Do you think Lorian's going to hold another one? Because she's already saying that that was her last one. That was her swan song. But she always says that after every year.
Hope. Yeah, that's true. Let's hope she does.
Yeah, I hope she does too. So I want to get back there. I do. All right. We got about 20 seconds here. Hey, YouTube, I want to say thank you for tuning us all in tonight. Give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. A great way to support this show is either through the Super Chat or go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, where you can do a little shopping at the SOR Vault and grab yourself some swag there as well. Here comes the second half of the show. Music's on. Here we go, Geraldine.
All right.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have each and every one of you with us. Want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and much more. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, along with my personal profile at Dave Scott SOR. Geraldine Orozco is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio, rocking with us about everything that we kind of discuss on the Spiritual You, which happens monthly, the first week of the month. Geraldine's website, GeraldineOrozco.com. Welcome back, Geraldine.
Hey, happy to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here as well. Very glad you're here as well. All right. Let's go here. In regards to extraterrestrial contact and the people you deal with on that phenomena, do you mainly deal with male experiences or female experiences, or does it really matter?
Well, both of them are absolutely important, and I've dealt with both, but mostly women, and probably because these are experiences that sometimes are quite traumatic and impactful, but sometimes it's difficult for men to sometimes come up and speak about them openly. Sometimes they feel shy or ashamed to speak about them because it's kind of a delicate experience, right? I mean, we're talking about sometimes cases where they're experiencing intercourse, or they have these visions, or they think they're dreams, they think they're visions. They don't know how to, locate this kind of experience and put it in your reality. But what's interesting is side effects that they experience, and it makes it difficult for them to feel safe enough to talk about them. So in the support groups that I have, tried to keep a neutral, safe, open. And the more you listen to other people's experiences, the more you realize, how there are so much similarities, there's so much unique experiences, but at the same time, there's very key little elements that are quite similar in these experiences, whether it's the contact or the kind of craft you were on, or the experience, the emotions that you're feeling as a result. So these are very interesting cases, all of them, and both incredibly important. And I encourage men to speak out when they have these experiences. Really, really do.
Interesting. So with that, okay, whether it's male or female, is there a big difference in the type of contact and or hybridization that people are going through? If so, what is it?
Is there a difference in the contact? Well, you got to notice that there are so many different hybridization programs. Well, there could be so many, or it could be one. That's the thing. That's the question that we're trying to understand. Is it one whole program, umbrella program, or are these different ones with seemingly different species, seemingly different craft that are, running these agendas per se? Because they do vary. They vary in experience. For me, in my personal experience, I've had 4 different programs, agendas that I had been a part of. One of them being reptilian, one of them being more humanoid, one of them being more gray, and one being like a draconian, and then of course the terrestrial program. So these what makes them unique is the procedures that are being used in the contact, often the side effects that are occurring as a result of this contact. And however, the gestation process of the fetus tends to be somewhat the same. Now, for the reptilian, sometimes draconian, there are a little bit darker agendas, in a sense where a lot of the beings, the fetus that are being put in, or genetically modified, zygote that's being inseminated in the body, basically is a cocktail of DNA, but some of these beings are not even like actual humans or even reptilians or even draconians. Some of these beings are actual interdimensional beings. And so a lot of technology goes into play at that point. So there will be an implants put into the uterus to be able to sustain and provide an environment for the fetus to develop. So that's something that's not really talked about a lot, but I've noticed it in my different experiences, because not only is the removal process different from these other agendas, but the side effects physically are quite severe because of the implants that are put into the body. You got to understand that it's because it's energy, because it's a vibrational signature. Everything has a vibrational signature. Me and you have a vibrational signature. So our signature is that of human algorithm. Let's say the coding that makes up the human body. For these species that are genetically modified, they have a specific vibrational signature. If you put that in the human body, in any regular human body, without putting certain technology, the body's going to die. That woman would not be able to sustain that. So there's technology that's involved here. And I think that's one of the ways that we can kind of begin to study and compare these cases. Then the higher vibration, let's say, quote unquote, higher, or maybe more pleasant, more memorable experiences in which even the interaction with the being is different. The reptilians, the draconians, not all reptilians, just some of them they don't talk to you. They don't help it be, they don't connect with you. It's not more comfortable. Sometimes it's the environment is not welcoming at all, and it's very traumatic. And in these higher, quote unquote higher, they connect with you, they talk to you, the grays connect with you somehow. And there is this connection of wellness and safety, and somewhat the host becomes more comfortable in those events. But what's being gestated is still, genetically modified organisms. So that vibrational frequency tends to be a mix of different beings, like my hybrid children, which they look human, but not quite. They are quite different. So, there's so much to talk about that day, because then the terrestrial program is another program, and that program tends to be more medical. So you're going to see more, like dentist chairs, or like a actual stirrup, like a gynecological chair or table, and it's just different technology that's being utilized. So I would say these different details really design the kind of contact that you're having, and also the side effects that you're going to be having, and the product. I tend to see that in the quote unquote higher events, higher vibrational experiences, there is a presentation. For some of these lower, there is usually not a presentation. There usually isn't a presentation to that. So that also kind of gives you an idea of what they're doing with the hybrids that are being produced.
How do we know whether we are being used as a medical experiment or for hybridization? Are the symptoms different?
No, the symptoms would not be different. I mean, the symptoms are the same. I mean, and it's a medical experiment. I mean, it's I guess you can say the whole creation of life in that sense would be a medical experiment. I mean, even life itself. We're playing with odds here of genetic modification. Some of what's inseminated, it doesn't take. Their genetic modifications don't work, so there will be a miscarriage. Some of the children that are produced, they don't survive longer than a certain amount of age. Some of them are not designed to grow up. They're just meant to be children. But what's happening here is the soul. The soul is key. When there is a child utilizing my DNA, my human DNA, there is an aspect of soul that is implemented in the design of this new being. And that is kind of like I guess you can say, this spiritual engine that sustains these systems running. And so the purpose is that they are prolonging the reincarnation cycle. Okay, so these souls are either put back into the reincarnation cycle to be born as children here on Earth in the future timelines, or they are put on other planets, or they are kept on craft, so on and so forth. But the physical is still always going to have. I mean, the woman will usually gestate between a couple weeks up until 4 months. I've just recently heard about a case of someone that was carrying nine months. And then the child, seemingly was dead at birth. But then that same child was presented to her on a craft. So it's interesting. It's interesting what's happening, and the stories that are coming up are becoming more detailed. There's more an understanding. And right now, what I'm working on is helping these women get medical help in a way that they are supported with these experiences, because there's a lot of them that go to the doctor and the doctor doesn't know how to explain it. So we need to bring it to the attention of the medical field, if that's even possible. That's what we're working on now.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Geraldine, when it comes to men and women being part of the hybridization program, obviously these extraterrestrials are trying to extract some sort of sperm from the men in order to breed with this. Okay, you're someone who has gone through the process numerous times. Do you know when it's happening? Do men know when it's happening? Or is it all done under the assumption that they take us in the middle of the night and we don't know what's happening and we don't know if there is side effects, if any?
Right. I mean, you most of these experiences are going to happen without our knowledge. Okay. And it really, the cases of people that actually remember and understand what's happening, we're just learning. This is a new thing for us to come out into mainstream. It's not a new thing. This has been around for a long, since the 40s, since I think the 40s or the first cases of these hybridization claims. And not even before that. I mean, we're talking about our entire human race, Mother Mary, or all these ideas of that divine conception, right? But what's happening is most of us, we don't know how to, classify it. I mean, for myself, if it wasn't for my conscious experience, I wouldn't have understood what was happening to me throughout my life when I had these miscarriages, when I became pregnant and I wasn't partnered with anyone. And so we begin to piece together what it means by educating ourselves, by listening to one another and their experiences. That's why it's so important for contactees to speak out about their experiences. We learn from that, and we also become acknowledged in our own experience. We understand what's happening to us. So all of these things that are happening for men and women, both of us, the technology that is being utilized in these contact experiences is so advanced that the implants, it started at a very early age. Usually the contact begins at the age of 5. And the age of 5 is usually when the child is developed the first 3 chakras in the body. This is when they begin to solidify their human perception, the human programming system. Okay, and so all of that is kind of activating within the DNA ability to store information. So at the age of 5, they're usually taken, they are implanted with implants, and the implants begin to work with the system in which there is an implementation of programming in the body. By the time they reach puberty and they're ready, to have the eggs removed, this is a communication that's had with the child, through this technology. So this is usually tends to be lifelong process, and even more than that, it runs genetically in the lineage. So if I've had it, my mother would have had experiences, her mother, so on and so forth. And it runs in families. I can say it's happened in my family, and it's happened in almost every family that I speak to that has had contact experience, that is connected with their family, communicates with their family openly about these things. They've been made aware of their contact. And it's really a phenomena that's really incredible, that is worth looking at, because my background, I never even spoke the word alien before all of these things that happened. I mean, I had no notion that this was even a possibility. So the more we educate ourselves, the more we learn, we can understand how to support each other when we have conscious experiences, and we know what to look for. We know what to take pictures, to document, the activity, marks on the body, miscarriages, being very clear about when we're getting pregnant, the activity, just paying attention to what's happening if you think it's happening to you, so that you can begin to learn about, the systems and the patterns of when the contact happens. Contact is complex. It's not so simple. You're going to have either you're going to have a combination of dreams or images or actual physical contact. The phenomena is very specific for this kind of stuff, and it's mixed with physical, side effects. So, this is not just a psychosis that we're talking about. We're talking about a very large parameter of moving parts that make up these experiences.
Geraldine, we got about 5.5 minutes here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. So when women are having these issues, okay, and they are taking, these alleged aliens are taking the eggs and going into the ovaries and violating the female reproductive system, can this cause problems for people who, and women especially, who want to have children on this side of the plane?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of the women actually cannot have children or have an extremely difficult time having children. And the reason why is because we've been utilized so many times for the implantation, the insemination of the fetus, and it's been then removed. There are internal scarring that occurs. A lot of people have endometriosis. Many other kind of side effects like, terrible pain or many other complications that happen in the body. And usually, when we visit a gynecologist, then we become aware of scarring that is in the uterus. Then we begin to question, okay, where did that scarring come from? We've never had, actual, what is it called? What is it called when you lose the child, when they clean the child out? I forget the name, but abortions, excuse me for forgetting that word, abortions, because when an abortion happens, there's trauma that happens within the uterus, clearly. But this is trauma that is appearing in the body, even at a young age. The other day, I had the case of a young girl that was probably around the age of 16, having tremendous amount of trauma in the uterus. Okay, so I mean, this is how deep this kind of phenomena goes. It's not just something that, it's not just visions or dreams or ideas or fantasies. The body is affected in this physical plane. That's when things get really real. And so, for example, I cannot have children. So there's a lot of women that have complications in children with this. So yeah, it affects the life. It affects relationships. It affects the lives. It affects a lot of things. So why aren't we talking about it? Why isn't this on the 5 o'clock news?
Right. Well, Nikki asks a question. She says, Geraldine, what about polycystic ovary syndrome with female contactees?
Very good. Yes, this is another one that's been coming up. I'm seeing women that have this, a lot of cysts, and I myself, at the age of 16, was found with a cyst that was far more advanced for my age. And it happened immediately after the first insemination and first extraction. So just look back at your history and take a look at when you began to notice signs of this, or you began to realize what was happening, and notice if there's any other things. I mean, the way when I reviewed my life, I realized that there were very key, specific events, whether it was a severe illness or something that happened to me during that time, quote unquote illness, because it wasn't really an illness. It was a side effect of implantation, of either the implant in the body or the extraction. And then also, do you recall having lights in your room, or you remember seeing UFOs as a child, these are the things that we begin to kind of link together, and that we have to create kind of our timeline so the picture becomes clear. So that's my suggestion. But you see, how do we go to a gynecologist and we talk to them about this? So we need to build that support system for women.
We have about 2 minutes left, if that, until we got to go to break at the top of the hour. So the way this affects women, does it affect the emotional side because the body does go through that entire change thinking that it's in pregnancy?
Yes, absolutely. And that's the other side effect. One of the most amazing things about this contact phenomena is the amount of trauma that is as a result of this. Literally PTSD from, people that have had this contact experiences, post-traumatic stress syndrome, that they are really affected by this contact, whether it's having a conscious experience or the body itself goes into a state of shock or trauma as a result of that. And it isn't until you hear a certain sound or you see a certain picture or you see, like, for example, big eyes or, owl or something that triggers the psyche to take you back to that memory. Because remember, because of the technology that's being utilized, our memory is being suppressed by that technology. Okay, so we're not able to access those memories so easily. That's why hypnosis is being used. So the side effects that occurs emotionally, hormonally for the woman is a big thing, because you go through this roller coaster of thinking that you're pregnant and the body begins to have the pregnancy side effects. And then from one day to the next, you're not. So of course, there will be a drop in hormones. A lot of women experience depression. And of course, because our first thought is not going to be alien contact, we're able to somewhat process what's happening to us, unless you're one of the people that, gets pregnant without having a partner. Then things become complicated. And when you go to the doctor says, oh, well, you probably want kids so bad that your hormones are, psychologically providing that for you, or a blighted ovum, or, any of those. Yeah.
Geraldine, let's talk triggers. We've never talked that subject. Let's talk about triggers, about being contacted. Okay. Right after the break. Geraldine Orozco's The Spiritual You continues in Hour 3 here on Spaced Out Radio next. Yeah, we've never gone to... It was funny because I was writing down the word trigger when you mentioned it, and then all of a sudden you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, that's synchronistic. We got to go down that road.
That's a good one. That's true. Yeah. We haven't touched that one.
All right. I'm going to run my puppies outside one final time. You stay comfy, and I'm going to put the commercials on mute or on for YouTube. We'll be right back, YouTube. Stay tuned.
The Rock, while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hey everyone, I'm John Edwards.
And I'm Stacey Edwards. Together we're taking over Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio, where we're going to bring our own experiences of the paranormal and talk to the best people we can find to help bring you answers to your strange tales.
We're here to entertain your need for weekend woo! So tune us in at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, where we can all get a little spooky together.
Spaced Out Saturday nights right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month, and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR29.
My dog decided to chase after something in the backyard. It happens. It happens. Let me see here. Geraldine, we have about 90 seconds here. 90 seconds.
All right. I'm back. I'm here.
Me too. Me too.
All right.
My dog decided to go for a run. Thank goodness I have a fenced backyard.
Oh my God! Did you get him back, or is he still out there?
No, he's back. He's back.
Good.
He is back. So he's a good guy, though. He's a good guy.
That's awesome.
All right, I've had fun tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Great questions from the audience. Thank you, audience, for such amazing questions. You guys are awesome.
Fantastic questions once again. Fantastic questions. It's the way they roll. They're good people that way. Good people. All right. Let's get rid of that. $30 seconds. Oh, pardon me. Well, I got to add a commercial here. So we're about a minute. I lied.
Okay.
I lied. Oh, my goodness. Oh, I've been stretching lately just to try and feel good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I've been stretching lately. Old Davey's gained a little weight since this whole locked up in the house thing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I've got lazy. I've got real lazy lately. because I just...
Well, they're just a few minutes away from the kitchen, too.
Well, no, the main thing is my little guy, okay, with there not being any school, I don't have any me time to just relax, do my thing, because I'm always with him, whether it's playing toys or games or watching cartoons or whatever it may be. So I got to get him in on the exercise part too. Hold on. Here we go with hour 3, guys. Music is on.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates. On the digital side, you can listen to us on TalkStream Live 24/7 and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Narcohypnia. Narcohypnia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio or my personal profile at Dave Scott SOR. For the final time tonight, we introduce Geraldine Orozco from Bay Area Meditation out of San Francisco, California. Geraldine's website, GeraldineOrozco.com. She comes on once a month for a little segment we call The Spiritual You. And Geraldine, it's always a pleasure to have you here.
Always a pleasure to be here with your awesome listeners. I love them so much.
Right before the break, you said something that just triggered me. And we're going to talk about triggers. Triggers that all of a sudden you're in your daily life. Maybe you're driving your car, you're at the grocery market, or you're sitting at home watching a television show, and all of a sudden, bam, it brings back flooding memories of weird, strange things that have happened. Tell us about triggers.
So, okay, there are many different triggers. First of all, one of the most powerful triggers for me was frequency sounds that I subliminally or subconsciously picked up from being on the craft. After I had my contact experience, I wanted to understand what happened to me. And I remember looking online for this interview about someone that had had a contact. And it was a gentleman that was playing a recording of his contact experience. And as the recording played, I mean, my body went into panic mode because I never in my life heard a sound like that. And it was like, it's like a holographic sound almost. I want to call it a holographic sound because more than the sound that you're hearing, it's what you're not hearing that really caused a trigger in my body. I mean, my palms were sweaty, my heart was beating. It was literal trauma. So that is one of the triggers. And you know, I was never able to find this interview again. I don't know who it was, but someone very well known that used to do these interviews. I don't know if it's Art Bell. Maybe it was Art Bell.
Probably Art Bell.
But someone, yeah, probably, that went on his show and played this. But anyway, so that was a trigger that I always remember. And a lot of my clients tell me that when they hear certain motors of airplanes that pass by, or when they're next to certain electromagnetic fields, they also, you know, have certain triggers, sensitivity to electricity, to electrical magnetic fields of technology and stuff like that. So sometimes lights will go out, or they will trigger bulbs to break, or, you know, their computer systems won't work anymore. You know, they have a lot of sensitivity with technology. And I think that this is one of the triggers of contact, because when you're taken on craft, your vibrational frequency completely changes. This is also the reason why a lot of contactees end up with heightened psychic abilities or activated abilities in that sense. The sensory abilities are activated, like what happened to myself. You know, that happens to a lot of people. They have new sensitivities, either either it's something that is left for a week, like for a week they have extra telepathy or sensitivity to psychic abilities, or it's something that's left for a long time, like what's happened to me. So this is the body, the DNA being activated. Now that's the electromagnetic fields. Now another aspect of triggers are visual triggers. So for example, large eyes. I had one client, a mother of a child that was about 5 years old, and she knew that the child was getting abducted, even though they couldn't do anything, of course, because they completely get knocked out, and then the child is gone. And when she comes back, the child is at the bed, and they understand the whole bed is open, the child is on the other side of the room, so they know that the child is having abduction experiences. The child started to draw out the experiences, and they had to remove all of the dolls and stuffed animals from the room that have eyes, because just the fact of having something shiny like that, reflecting light in the middle of the night, would traumatize the child. So that's another well-known thing. And I know other people now, adults, that have triggers when they see owls or when they see deer. We've heard that story, but more recently I heard a gentleman here up in Reno that has a huge trigger from one day to the next every time he sees deer, and he didn't understand why. So he goes to hypnosis, and he realizes that that night he walked out in his backyard and there was a deer, and next thing he knows, he doesn't remember, and he has missing time. So it was whether the deer or the owls are used as screening to take them, to trigger people into, or to induce this abduction experience where they take the body at that point. It's very interesting, and the imagery of this, what they're looking at, is what's causing this psychological impact for them to recall memories of what had happened. And little by little, he was able to recall more after that experience, after he saw that. So these are the triggers. Then there's physical triggers as well. You wake up with scars or something like that, and I've heard of cases where they have implants in the legs, and when they touch the implant, they are also feeling, of course, it's probably releasing information that is within that part of the body. So they begin to recall memories of when the implant was put in. They feel it's like the body is taken back to that moment, because again, the body is like this massive recorder system that is recording everything that we're consciously looking at, and also everything that is around that conscious interaction. We are subliminally, subconsciously picking up everything in detail of our environment. So all of that is stored holographically within the body, different parts of the body and different parts of our mind. So sooner or later, the information is accessible. That's why hypnosis is such an interesting tool to help us access that. Let me see, am I forgetting anything else? Oh, yes, absolutely. Then we have medical triggers, which is something that really happened to me tremendously. Dentist chairs, for example, or chairs that look like a dental chair. Incredibly traumatizing. And it's not that I had an experience as a child where, I had a traumatic experience with the dentist. It just started from one moment to the next. And looking back at my experiences, the abductions that I had with draconians are in these kinds of dental chairs, and also more recently in my lab experiences, something that's similar to that. So, and we're talking about a trauma that really sends, chills down your body. You're paralyzed. You can't really move. You can't, you don't understand why you have that terror. Another trigger, Dave, is spiders or certain insects, like, for example, mantis. And that's also another big one. And I'm still trying to research the connection between spiders and contact, but there is a huge connection there, that when people see spiders, whether it's maybe there is an extraterrestrial race that looks like spiders, or something like that. And I've been doing research to try to understand that better. But I believe that there is some kind of imprinting in the memory of this, whether it's through technology that they're seeing technology, or they're seeing beings that embody the shape of a spider, that is also a trigger. The mantis, we know, is a race. So, some people that now see mantis or pictures of beings that look like mantis, and they go into a frenzy. And of course, the reptilian imagery that causes a tremendous trigger, or the large gray's eyes, the dark eyes of a gray. So let me think. Is that all that I can think of, Dave? Anything else that you can add to that? Let me think. What else?
Music is a big one for people. That's what I've heard a lot of. Music.
Okay. Vibrational frequency, sound. But is it specific music that you're talking about?
Okay. I'll take myself for instance. If I'm about to be abducted, I have this replay in my head leading up to it from the album The Wall by Pink Floyd, with the song "Is There Anybody Out There?" It kind of goes, "Is there anybody out there?" And it just kind of goes like that, and it's freaky. I know people like Samantha Mowat who see blue butterflies. Doesn't matter if it's winter, summer, wherever. They see blue butterflies, or at least she does. Other people, I've heard one other person say blue butterflies as well. But there are, these triggers that seem to set everybody off. But I mean, for a lot of times, Geraldine, we tend to look at that and say, could that not just be deja vu?
Right. But what it is, well, deja vu, I mean, that would mean we would recognize the experience as something we've already lived. But, we're talking about like trauma, like actual emotional response, which is not something that's normal when you see a butterfly or something like that. It was Misha Johnston that was at the conference as well, that wrote her books, They Weren't Butterflies, about the monarchs. That was connected to my lab experience as well. But it kind of goes to show the connection between the imagery that triggers memories. And I mean, this is true even for our regular trauma. People that have traumatic experiences in their families with abuse, there are certain things that trigger that. It can be anything. It can be a color of a room, maybe the color of the food or something that you're eating, for example, that really imprint in you a certain emotional reaction. Another thing that I wanted to add about the music that you reminded me, when I had an experience as a child, when they were putting implants in the body, they would play a certain soundtrack of music that was like a lullaby, with their thinking that it would make it more pleasant when it was actually not pleasant. And so every time I would hear that song now, it would cause me to cringe, but I never knew why. So, this kind of overlay of information is really conflicting for us because we have a certain way of looking at things, and perhaps they don't understand that, that connection that we have to music and sound. So, the thing is that it causes a strong emotional reaction. That's really what it's about.
Geraldine Orozco is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio with the Spiritual You. Geraldine, these triggers that people have we been able to figure out, or people you've talked to have been able to figure out, if they can pinpoint a timeline? Have they written down, okay, so I got taken 3 months ago on the 23rd. It's now coming up to the 23rd of April in a couple of weeks. This seems to be my trigger point where I'm going to be taken on this date. Have we noticed any patterns, or have you talked to people with patterns, or even yourself?
That's interesting. Have I spoken to you about patterns? Let me think. Patterns? Not necessarily. Not really patterns or pickup patterns. Or anniversaries, for that matter. I have not seen that in my clients recently. For myself, have I seen that? Let me think. No, not anniversaries, not patterns in that way. activity goes up when I go to conferences. And I don't know if that's a pattern or a coincidence even. But what about you, Dave? Do you notice that? Have you seen that?
No, my contact is so infrequent. I don't even know if I know if I'm being taken. I think honestly, without sounding, too optimistic, I think they're leaving me alone right now because I got a lot of work to do. I got a lot of work to do with the radio station, and they know that, let's face it, they're not stupid. They're not stupid. They know when I'm going to be good for them and when I'm not. Right now, I'd be useless. Just to be honest, I would be useless.
Amazing. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. It's like, well, that goes into a whole other topic of contractual agreements with them. But anyway, we'll talk about that some other time. But it is interesting that most people have these infrequent contact, I think. So I think that goes for the majority of people, which is interesting because it makes it difficult to track. But if you know what to look for and you start a journal, you can kind of begin to piece together and make sense of this activity little by little.
I mean, you have more contact than I do, or a lot of people that I know. Have you ever tried looking at patterns to see how this affects you or when it's going to happen?
I've been heavily tracing back my contact since the age of 5 for the book that I'm writing right now. And I don't see a pattern necessarily. I see a very strategic timeline that is being played out based on my age and the time of development of my life. And I've noticed that there's a pattern in that with other contactees. I've noticed that there is a certain timeline that they stick to, in a sense, at least for the hybridization program, in which, at certain age points, people are experiencing these kinds of contacts. So that's something that's interesting about the phenomena that really rises my interest in regards to research and comparing contact experiences, because what I'm interested in, what is the physiological aspect or psychological aspect that the host or the mother, the human body, has at those different age points that make the host more favorable for contact. Now, not all people have 24 hybrid children like I have. Some people have 13, some people have even more than that, some people have less. But something about the implantation, when it's a hybridization, it's not just a one-off thing. It means that it involves several visits that we're not aware of. So this is the kind of part that I want to try to understand in regards to their technology and how they carry out the agenda. It's a multi-layer process in grooming or preparing the host for the whole procedure, the entire process. So that's interesting.
It sounds so complicated, though. It sounds so complicated for those who are fearful of this, those who don't understand it, or maybe even for those who haven't experienced it. But it really, from what I have learned from talking to contactees, namely you and Samantha Mowat, to name a couple, is that, it becomes just part of the norm, and for a lot of people, they may have lack of a better term, a little bit of issue trying to figure out, well, how can this be normal if this is happening to you, if they've taken you without your consent and all of this, and how do you answer that?
Well, what I'm understanding and what I understand through my own personal experiences, really, and the structure of the reality we live in, none of these things are, in a sense, done without our consent per se. I believe that we have contractual agreements with them that we've made. Now, we may have made these contracts when we were, the way I like to put it is under the influence of not having conscious awareness. And these can be agreements that are made prior to incarnating into the 3D plane, or they can be contracts that are made in previous lives. We got to remember that because we're multidimensional beings, we're really living parallel lives with other fragments of ourselves. So there's a lot going on. In dream time, we enter other planes in which we're actively doing other things. And it's my understanding that what we're not doing in the physical time, contractually, with the things that we're supposed to be doing for our consciousness, for our awareness as consciousness or evolution, we are carrying out those tasks in dream time. And the same is going to be in death. The moment we detach from the physical body, there's also processes that are happening for the soul as it moves in and out of certain dimensions. So I think that the contractual agreement, the whole permission thing, is a very complex system. And bottom line, what we need to understand is that we are sovereign, and the ability for us to take back our soul, our control over the process and direction of our soul, is conscious awareness. The awareness of the body, of our multidimensionality, of how this organism, this multidimensional organism works in life from birth until death and in dream time. We need to become aware of how we are affected and just in our regular lives, because everything that we experience in life is a contractual agreement. The choice we made to come into our families, to have the traumas, the problems, the financial issues, relationship issues, all of those things are contractual agreements that are a part of this matrix that we live in. This is the human matrix. So it's like those events and experiences produce in us certain things that are allowing other aspects to thrive off of us. So we got to be aware of these layers of our reality, and it really makes life really real. It makes life really real, and every moment of our conscious waking time a valuable moment to take control of what we're experiencing. I don't think that we're at the mercy of this contact. I think once we become aware of it through our conscious awareness, whether it's a spiritual awakening or you're just becoming more aware of yourself and your environment, you have a choice to kind of disconnect and break these contractual agreements. I believe I have worked on those contractual agreements. That's why I'm not experiencing contact myself, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. So, all of that has to do with the belief we have in ourselves and how we manage our what we're projecting into our experience. We have to take control of that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Geraldine Orozco, beautifully said, as per usual. We will talk to you on my mother's birthday on May 5th.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Cinco de Mayo. We have more of you. Thank you so much of being on Spaced Out Radio once again, and we will talk to you next month.
It's such a pleasure to be here, Dave. Huge shout out to all the listeners, all my love. And if you guys want to get a DNA reprogramming with me, please connect with me through my website. I'm happy to serve. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Anytime. GeraldineOrozco.com. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay with us as we start to take this thing home. Perfect as per usual, my beautiful friend.
Awesome, Dave. Thank you so much. Have an amazing night, and I'll see you soon,
too.
okay?
All right. Talk soon.
All right, take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye.
She's awesome. She is awesome. 1 second here, everyone. I'm just preparing for the news here. Yeah, I'm just preparing for the news. I forget what I was smirking at, Justin. I apologize. I totally forget what I was smirking at. It was something that caught my attention. That made me kind of laugh. I think it was in one of the other chat rooms that I'm following, or usually on Twitter. And let's go here. It's number 5. And let's mute that because we don't want any noise coming through that. 6. Right. Is that it? Oh, yeah, there's number 7. All right. Let's put these together. Make sure they all kind of make sense. Move that one up here. What's this one? Oh, yeah, we'll put that one at the end. Yes, I talk to myself when I am doing the news. Talk to myself. Let's see here. I think we're good. I think we're good. How we all doing tonight on the Mighty SOR? Hopefully our website, we got the Gavinator working on the website right now. And we'll have that all hopefully completed up tomorrow. Fly me to the moon. Oh, good call. Now I'm going to have Frank in my head. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Hi, Shanna Banana. Hello, Shanna Banana. SD Moon Wishes. I don't know what that means, but the Shanna Banana part I kind of got. We got about 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Geraldine's awesome. She is so fantastic. So fantastic. Do 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 do. I wonder if I could get flagged on YouTube for doing that. I wonder. That's going to really suck if I could. See if Marty's posted the clown yet. Not seeing it. Not seeing it. Do 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 do. Clam-a-lama ding dong. Right on, Clam. Love the Clam around here. His favorite 80s singer was Clamio because he had the word up. Up, up. Everybody say.
Charities.org and become a donor today.
What do we got here? Oh, we got one more after this.
Hey, everybody. The SOR Space Travelers.
There we go. Hey, Nathan Allen. Dum dum dum. Imperial March didn't get flagged. Chris Mode. Do 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 do. Right on. SJ Model 666. How you doing, man? Welcome from the UK. Thank you so much. You know I love you. You know I love you, Shauna.
Eldrum and Jack Casher.
Your
Head on
picture's
over
so
to Amazon
small, it was
Prime
tough
or
to see.
Tubi TV and check us out.
I'll give you a
Please
little
leave
chest
comment
hair.
for the
How about that?
filmmakers on their
There you
film's
go.
Amazon
Little chest
page.
hair for your wake-up call. All right, let's do this, shall we? Do a little bit of radio here. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for hanging on out with us tonight. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind all of you that if you want to check out our free archives, you could do so at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and going out and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Hey, I also want to remind you, we're trying to get our numbers up on social media. So if you're on Twitter, follow me at Dave Scott SOR. That's my personal profile. And of course, the show you can follow at Spaced Out Radio. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show. That's where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and the sometimes pretty cool. Yeah. Pennsylvania's Graffiti Highway, an abandoned stretch of road that's become an unofficial tourist attraction, is unfortunately going to be covered with truckloads of dirt to discourage trespassers. The road, once part of the Pennsylvania Route 61, has a colorful history. It was closed in 1993 because it was damaged by a coal fire that had been burning under the town of Centralia for more than 50 years. The state says the area is extremely dangerous, but that hasn't stopped people from coming to see and add to the graffiti that covers the 3/4-mile section over the last decade. On Monday, crews from the local coal company hired to haul dirt were looking to cover the highway as a tourist attraction came to get one last look, as a tourist that is. We'll bring in approximately 400 loads of material, and then we'll level it off, and then we'll probably plant it, and hopefully there will be trees and grass growing there, Vincent Guarna stated. Guarna mentioned that he owns the property, or pardon me, that Pagnotti Enterprises owns the property, and hired them to cover the graffiti highway because of liability issues and concerns that large crowds were gathering there. Well, apparently a few weeks ago, the guy says, there was a fire there, people just starting fires. Guarna said they're doing a lot of damage to the community there, and it's time that ends right now. He said it would take up to 3 or 4 days to cover the road. One visitor mentioned that he'd seen videos online of people having parties. I'm assuming the owners got fed up and decided they were just going to fill everything in. Centralia is about an hour northeast of Hershey, Pennsylvania, and was once home to about 1,200 people. It's now all but abandoned because of the fire. Officials started the fire in 1962 to clean up a trash dump, but the flames ignited a seam of coal that runs under the town. It's been burning ever since. The U.S. Congress allocated $42 million in 1984 to relocate homes and businesses in the town. The state says only 5 households remained in Centralia as of 2013. Many of the town's properties have been demolished, but tourists still come to see what's left of the ghost town and the graffiti-covered highway, which occasionally has steam emanating from its cracks in the asphalt. Oh, that's kind of weird. Probably safer is better when it comes to that. Really. Down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, recent photos of Bigfoot have been revealed as a campaign to get people active, but at a distance. Of course it was. I mean, if you're one of those people who viewed those photos and said, oh, that's a real Bigfoot, no way. Now, that was one ugly Bigfoot, to be honest. one ugly Bigfoot. You know, you could add one more item to the general rules at Turkey Mountain. Honestly, it makes me a little scared, said hiker Jennifer Clinton. Yellow signs have popped up with a message, please practice social distancing on the trails at least 6 feet apart. With the weather right now being the best it's ever been, I wish there wasn't a virus going around and we could enjoy it much more than what we are doing right now, said Ernie. Yeah, several groups like Isabella Skinner and Chavez stopped by the brave trails and other people. Kind of takes your mind off of things for just a little bit, but the signs are a constant reminder of what's really going on, Clinton said. But to help change the course for this COVID-19 pandemic, there's been a viral campaign involving photos of Bigfoot on the trails. We came out here and staged several sighting photos, and from there it exploded, absolutely exploded, said Ryan Howell. Howell is the man behind the mask. The River Parks employee used the costume to bring some humor to the situation and promote social distancing. It turns out social distance Sasquatch is just me in a costume, he said. Way to ruin it. Much like the Easter Bunny for kids. Thanks, Ryan. The city is rolling out their campaign on Thursday at all Tulsa parks to safely enjoy the outdoors to limit the spread of COVID-19. We do these signs. We just try and stay appropriate distance between ourselves and the other people just to be as safe as possible, said Kira Shelton. Turkey Mountain is not a place to meet your friends and go for a hike right now. This is a new normal. The city does say that with a limited amount of public places open right now, they ask that you follow the distance rules so you don't have to shut down any more amenities at these parks. Okay, so play on the emotions of Bigfoot and the Bigfoot community to get your point across. Well done, Tulsa. Well done. Now, the origin of COVID-19 is still being hotly debated on social media, and an assortment of conspiracy theories have emerged. But the public health experts say the most likely source of the infection is one of the so-called wet markets in China. Animal welfare advocates have been warning about these mysterious places for years. Animal welfare and human health are inextricably linked, whether we like to admit it or not. For example, Asian meat markets have always been breeding grounds for serious diseases. Animal organizations have warned about the wet markets not only because of the inherent cruelty and cramming of so many different species, wild, domestic, even endangered, into tiny crates stacked atop each other. As many as 70% of the diseases affecting humans have started in animals. Wayne Pacell, president of the Animal Wellness Action Group and former chief executive officer of the Humane Society of the United States, is one of the leading advocates who has spent years lobbying Congress to take action. So this is where it started, and it should be no more mystery to anybody, Pacell says. We've been warning about it. We've been screaming. We've been stomping our feet. We've been raising our hands saying, eliminate the wet markets. It's going to spawn the next pandemic. And it's done exactly that. Just this past week, other reports on other similar markets outside of China and the problems created in them were reported on. Despite the evidence the coronavirus pandemic spread to humans due to wildlife consumption, many regions, including Africa, Southeast Asia, Australia, are continuing to trade in wild animals. After the coronavirus outbreak, China closed down its wet markets, but they are now open again. What, if anything, can anybody in North America do about it? Legislation is pending in the United States for it. Pacell says China cannot be trusted to handle this problem on its own. Now, here is something very, very cool. Very cool. A man in Brazil captured a video of some neighbors enjoying the coronavirus lockdown by playing a video game being projected onto the side of an apartment building. Oh, yes. Yes, and it's an old school game as well. Like, it almost brings me back to childhood. The Vitoria Espirito Santo man said he was at home with his family amid the pandemic when some residents of a nearby building captured their attention. The residents were using a projector aimed at another building to play a giant game of Street Fighter II. The video literally shows residents controlling the game from an apartment balcony, and here they are fighting. You know, I wonder if Ryu was actually winning. Looking at the picture, I think he was. Which is really cool. You know, but why not enjoy that? You know, that's the kind of imagination we need. You know, I wish I could do it. I wish I could. I would just get the glare of snow, though, because the snow just hasn't melted here yet. Scary times coming as Tropical Cyclone Harold lashed the South Pacific island of Vanuatu for the second day on Tuesday, ripping off roofs and downing telecommunications, and was now moving towards Fiji, where it's expected to slightly weaken. The powerful cyclone made landfall earlier this week in Santa Province, an island north of Vanuatu's capital city of Porto Villa, with winds as high as 236 kilometers an hour or 146 miles per hour, knocking out communications overnight, according to reports by the government's disaster and weather bureaus. The province of Santa sits on the biggest of Vanuatu's 80 islands and is home to its second most populous city, Luganville, where photos circulated on social media purporting to show buildings flattened by the storm. The wind blew roofs off of houses, tore down trees, and destroyed a council building in Luganville, which has a population of about 16,000, according to radio reports there. Vanuatu's National Disaster Management Office said in a social media post that officials were expecting to survey the area later in the day to assess the damage. Gusts were expected to drop to 110 kilometers an hour or 68 miles per hour as the system tracks southeast away from Vanuatu and approaches Fiji, Vanuatu's Weather Bureau said. Keep your eyes on them if you have relatives in Fiji right now. That's kind of scary. A Welsh farmer lately shared a video of a flock of sheep taking advantage of the coronavirus lockdown by playing on the equipment at an empty playground. Gareth Williams of Raglan Farm Park in Monmouthshire said the sheep are usually kept away from the children's play area at the farm, but the playground has been closed due to the pandemic, so the sheep decided, well, let's go wander around there. And the farmer said, hey, what the heck? What the heck? The grass is a little long. Let's see what the sheep do. Well, he captured a video of the sheep climbing on the playground equipment and spinning each other around on the merry-go-round. Try and find a park in North America these days that actually has a merry-go-round. It's hard. I don't even think there is one in my community. This was a staple of sickness when I was a child. Who else didn't get sick on a merry-go-round? Very few of you have not. But you can't find them today. No way. Too many injuries to children. What about the children? Let them get hurt. Let them get hurt. Eat a little soil, loosen some teeth, maybe break a bone or two. You know, why not? That's what being a kid is all about. Anyhow, save that rant for another day. Williams captured the photo of the video of the sheep climbing around. He says, I was quite shocked when I saw them on a roundabout. We don't usually have them down here, so it was quite amazing to see. Some of them were playing and others were all around the park. I was really surprised at how quickly they actually started to play and get the hang of it. As I said, they're not usually here when the park is open. Good for those sheep. And of course, Shirk has to throw this one in the news. Yeah, thanks, Captain. A shark has fatally mauled a young Australian wildlife worker on the Great Barrier Reef. Queensland State Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk said the 23-year-old victim worked for the Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service. Once again, a family out there is grieving for a young man who tragically lost his life in the horrific shark attack. On Facebook, Iona College identified the victim as Zachary Roba, a 2014 graduate. The rector of Robin's former school, Father Michael Twigg, wrote, this was Zach's dream job, and he embraced all that it entailed. Zach was so full of life, and I will remember him always as a young Steve Irwin. Rest in peace. Police said the young man was in the water returning to a vessel chartered by the service when he was attacked near Northwest Island, 47 miles northeast of Gladstone. He suffered extensive injuries to his leg and arm and died in hospital hours later. Detective Senior Sergeant Tony Anderson said the ranger had been doing maintenance work before the attack. The victim was the last person out of the water. At the end of the day, there were 4 people swimming off to the back of the boat, cooling down after a day's work. There were at least 3 shark attacks on the Great Barrier Reef over the last 18 months. Last October, 2 British backpackers were attacked while snorkeling at Hook Island in the Whitsunday Islands. One man lost his foot. In March, a 25-year-old man suffered serious thigh injuries when a shark attacked him at Hardy Reef near Hamilton Island. Also, November 2018, Victorian doctor Daniel Christidis was killed at Sid Harbor in Whitsunday Island. You know, this is why we don't go in the water, people. We're not meant to go in the water. We're not meant to go into jungles. This is how things go. And stop eating exotic foods. That's how things spread. You know, that's why old Davy is healthy. Stays at home, introverted, not eating fancy, weird foods with weird titles. All right, sticking to the staples. All right. And that's why I'm still alive until Bigfoot gets me in the forest. That's a great clown tonight, Marty. Great clown. I just want to go play on a merry-go-round with a sheep right now. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. What is your thoughts on people who claim they can summon UFOs? Let's go to Goddess Michelle. I think they're really silly. I mean, do they really think that UFOs or the life form in them move on their will? I'm calling shenanigans. God of Thunder, prove it for free. No charges involved. Nathan, show me. I want to see someone summon one and make contact with me or that person doing the summoning. John, it suggests an absolutely bizarre symbiotic relationship between the viewer and what I have seen and what is seen. As to believe otherwise, suggests a bunch of UFOs sit around Earth just waiting for a signal to come so they can come rushing in and put on a show, which is just silly. Science Bob, he goes, I know Dave, Chris Bledsoe, Melinda Leslie, Jocelyn, Eric Mitchell, and I suspect that I have enough proof by now that only a blind man wouldn't believe. Joe, cool. Do they do delivery? Because I'm running low on a few things. David, common error, as in, look at my latest discovery. I call it electricity. It flows positive to negative. Close, but sorry, no banana. UFOA on Twitter. Don't think it's possible. Maybe the government can. Mad Planet. It's Utter Bullocks, Dave. Eric with a K. We are his fourth favorite show. Number one in Canada. Most of it is a BS. It appears a few have had success in some instances. Previous contactees are more credible, in my opinion. Juan, show me, or STAF. Yeah, I'm not saying that. He says, or just shut up. It's just that simple. Okay, let's go over to Facebook, see what the Facebookers have to say. Barry, they need psychiatric intervention immediately. Brad, prove it. Sarah, if someone says they saw a UFO, I think, well, I don't know everything. Maybe it's true, but summoning? That does sound crazy. Stephen, if you are summoning UFOs, it's not alien, it's fae folk or some other entity. Then Tyler Strand from Hellier comes on and says, are you so certain that they are not one and the same? Stephen replies, Tyler, they may be, but that's if the case... Or pardon me, if that's the case, then aliens are never what they were. Oh, the good debate. Sparkles. I believe some can. I have read that this happens at Seaseti Ranch. It appears that James Gilliland has this ability. I have wondered if it can do anything to do with the person's own vibrations. I do know some folks that see UFOs frequently, and yet some folks never see any. Karen. She wants to talk to your manager. Nothing would surprise me, says Karen. Sylvia, you don't want to know. Sue, it's obviously true for them. William, no. Thanks for the big explanation there. That's why he wears khaki pants and will be on the show tomorrow. Chris, those frauds are the same people who claim alien abduction is by governmental treaty and a collaboration by world governments and extraterrestrials as a benevolent trade-off of biology, technology, and medicine. Doesn't anybody other than me find it odd that these charlatans are conspicuously quiet during the most grievous outbreak of a world pandemic? Dave, you and I are pragmatic men. We know why. Okay. All right. Kevin. Hey, it could happen. Once I hailed a cab in Manhattan during rush hour. Nikki, Wow, such closed minds. I shouldn't be so surprised, but I am. How sad I find that. Personally, I believe it depends upon the kind of connection and contact the contactee has with a specific race of alien. It's not as far-fetched as you would lead yourself to believe. Renee, down in New Zealand. If someone told me they could summon a UFO, I would say prove it. And if they refused to prove it or couldn't do it, I would say that they need psychiatric help. Now, in saying this, I'm not saying I believe or don't believe it, but I would need proof in this situation. Stephen said, yeah, they're not very bright. Marty, I believe that they believe it. Of course, I also believe that there are people who still believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and that the Toronto Maple Leafs will actually win another Stanley Cup. Beautiful, beautiful segue, Marty, right there. Anytime we get a chance to give a shot about the Leafs. Hey, I'm West Coast Toronto. I am West Coast Mississauga. Okay? It's all Canucks and Oilers for me. All Canucks and Oilers for me. I'll take the heat. I will take the heat. But I'm sticking with the West Coast. And that's where we're going to end the thought of the day. If you want to participate, you can do so on Twitter or my Facebook page on a daily basis. And thank you so much for everybody playing along. Also, big thank you to Captain Shirk for getting our SOR Newswire put all together. You can find it at spacedoutradio.com or on our Facebook page, the SOR Newswire. Captain's always up to date. And to Geraldine Orozco for hanging on out with us and having a good time with the spiritual you. She'll be back on May 5th. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god of South. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your car, at work, in our chat rooms, wherever you may be. Thank you for everybody participating in the chats tonight on Spreaker, LGAB, YouTube, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club on our website, and to all the snarkers and snarkettes on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You made it a lot of fun tonight. Thank you so much. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and the SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends,
make a mistake. We're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for tuning us in. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see you then. Good night. You know, I have to say, I'm not going to lie. I don't care what anybody says. I think I have the best theme song ever. Ever. I mean, if that song doesn't pump you up, I don't know what will. I really don't. Like, seriously. Little Brother is Watching is one of those ass-kicking shows. Ass-kicking songs, pardon me. And it makes us so strong. Makes us sound like so powerful. You know? I love it. I love it. I get so pumped up for it every time I hear it. I love Ron Bumblefoot Thal. All right. And I thank the guitar god each and every time I get a chance to talk to him about allowing us to be a little part of his music. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Right? Sorry. I mean, I don't mean to brag. I really don't mean to brag, but our show kicks ass because of our music. It just sets an incredible tone for everything that we are trying to accomplish on a nightly basis. And, you know, it's perfect. It's perfect. You can't even deny that. I mean, have any of you actually read the lyrics to Little Brother is Watching? Seriously, Google it. Now, he wrote this song before I met him. Okay? And before I asked him about it. And, yeah, man. It's just the perfect song for what we do. The perfect tone, the perfect lyrics. Seriously, do me that favor. Just go online, Google it, and then play the song on YouTube, Little Brother is Watching, and then read the lyrics to it. I mean, it's friggin' amazing. Amazing. Yeah. So, anywho, I have to get editing, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for the super chat, Science Bob. Really appreciate it. Absolutely, Nixa. Absolutely. Watching you and watching me. Yeah. Wow. All right, guys. Thank you so much for a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.